What's going on, everybody? It is week 5 already. I hope you guys are enjoying NFT Draft and hope all these videos are helping you learn and you are winning some money. So at the end of the day, we have lineups to set and we have to talk about our favorite stacks, as well as you may not have all of your cards available. So I want to give you guys some streamers, as well as talk about point spreads and games that I want to attack. So first thing first, make sure you go to NFTDraft.io. Make sure you get as many packs as you can. The earlier you buy the packs, the better it is, because then you're able to use them all season long. And make sure you subscribe to NFTDraft.io so you can make sure to stay up with all the video content throughout the week. We usually put a video out every single day to make sure you guys are constantly getting content that helps you set your lineups. So first things first, let's talk about the spreads. Spreads will tell you a lot. Okay, so when you look at the games, there's a lot you can learn just by looking at what Vegas is saying the game is going to look like. First things first, remember Atlanta and the Jets play in London this week. So it's going to be an early kickoff. Make sure you get your Atlanta or Jets players in or out of your lineup tonight so you don't have to worry about it tomorrow morning. The London games usually kick off around 8 or 9 a.m. Eastern. It's a 45-game spread. It's not a high-scoring game, and with some of the players that are out, it could hit the under. Jets, I'm starting Zach Wilson. I'm starting Corey Davis, and that's pretty much about it. So that's the QB1 and the wide receiver 1 for New York Green. The Falcons defense constantly gives up yards, points, and touchdowns to both positions. You should be okay there. The Falcons, huge news. Calvin Ridley is not going to be playing this week. He's out this week due to personal reasons, and then they have a bye week next week. So that is a card you're not going to be able to use for 2 weeks. That Atlanta wide receiver 1 possibly could be Russell Gage, possibly could be Zacchaeus this week. Avoid that card. I'm honestly, like, you could probably play the Atlanta RB1 card, but I do think there's better options. But the best 2 cards on this game are the tight end 1 and the running back 2 for the Atlanta Falcons. They both should be viable plays, and you should get plenty of production. With Calvin Ridley being out, that's 10-plus targets a game. That's going to go to Kyle Pitts and Cordero Patterson. And Cordero Patterson is currently the number 3 running back in PPR leagues. All right, Dolphins and Buccaneers, 48 points. That's a pretty good spread. You're going to want to attack pieces in that game. Panthers at 45. That's kind of a even mark. You have Washington football team at 43.5 and the Saints. That's going to be a very low-scoring game. You could probably play both defenses. There's a lot of people that you can play, and make sure you check out our live stream starting at 11 a.m. Eastern on Sunday. I'm not going to go through every single situation, but the Saints offense is pretty poor. So Washington defense could be a play here, and the Saints defense is pretty solid. You could play them. There's probably better options, but it's gonna be a low-scoring game. There's not a lot of fantasy pieces you want on this, except for maybe Alvin Kamara and Terry McLaurin. Titans and Jaguars. Jaguars look like they're about to fall apart. Their head coach is grinding on 20-year-olds and sticking fingers. This is a family show, so we'll keep that out. But yeah, the Jaguars are a dumpster fire right now, and Urban Meyer may not last the whole season. They broke their huddle yesterday to grind, which is what their coach was doing last week. Instead of grinding tape, he was grinding on college students. So Derrick Henry may run for 1 million yards in this game. So he is one of the best plays of the week. Titans defense should be solid against the Jaguars. But as far as the Jaguars, the best play on their side is the RB1 and the wide receiver 3. You can definitely play the QB1 in this one. And the tight end 1 is interesting because that is now Dan Arnold. It's something to look at. This is a higher spread at 48.5, and the Titans are 4.5 point favorites. The Lions and Vikings. The Vikings are a 10-point favorite. This is the largest difference that I've seen so far. look for a lot of points in this game. The Lions have actually put up quite a few points. The running backs get a lot of points. So the RB1 and 2 are both viable options. The QB1 is a streamer this week, and I'll cover that in my streamers. But the Vikings should put up a lot of points. Dalvin Cook is healthy. They have both they're actually all three of their top receivers should be good to go. The injury to watch in this one will be TJ Hawkinson. He's limited with a knee injury. He returned to practice this week, so he should play, but that's going to be something to watch. 49 points is going to be a lot of points. 39.5, it's the opposite. Not a lot of points in this one. Najee Harris should still be good because we do PPR scoring. So that's the RB1 for Pittsburgh. And the wide receiver 1 for Pittsburgh. Both should get plenty of targets. Other than that, it's really kind of messy over there. But I am all over the Pittsburgh defense this week. Again, you pick your defenses from these low-scoring games. The Broncos should be trotting out Drew Lock this week. Drew Lock is not a good quarterback. Last year he threw the most, ahead of Dwayne Haskins and Jalen Hurts, threw the most dangerous passes, which were passes that had a better percentage of getting caught by the defense than the offense. And he had only 52% of his passes were deemed catchable targets. So look for a turnover or a big play by the defense in this one. Steelers D I'm all over it. Broncos, I'm a little worried. I would play the tight end in this one and the running backs. That is it. Packers and Bengals, another high-scoring game. You'll hear about this one in my stacks. You should be able to play a bunch of pieces in this one. This is one of my favorite games in the slate. 50.5 is one of the higher ones you're going to go after. Patriots at Texans. This one is another low-scoring game. The Patriots are favored by 9. Patriots defense, that's about it. There can be 4 offensive linemen out for the Patriots. Don't think that spells a lot of success for their running back and or the quarterback. I'm really not touching any piece in this game except for maybe Brandon Cooks. Bears and Raiders, you have 44 points, moderate. This is going to be an interesting one because Justin Fields is now the full-time starter for the Chicago Bears, and he gets the Raiders, who have been a very, very good defense. And Chicago Bears have let up a lot of points to defenses because their offensive line is just allowing so many sacks, and Justin Fields has been holding onto the ball far too long. And the longer he goes onto the ball, the more bad things happen. So the Raiders defense is something you can play this week. But you can play Josh Jacobs. You can play that's the RB1 for Las Vegas. You can play the wide receiver 3, Hunter Renfrow. You can play the tight end 1 for the Raiders. And for the Bears, it's been really tough to play the wide receiver 1. You probably have better options. But the QB1, the RB1 is now Damien Williams because their RB1 is out 4 to 5 weeks. So really not playing a lot of Bears in this one. The Raiders should win this one pretty handily. I'd love to see Justin Fields break out, but I'm not very comfortable playing him in my lineups yet. And Damien Williams, he's going to be a tough play against that Raiders front. So, yeah, good luck with this one. I'm picking some Raiders, and that's about it. Browns at Chargers. Just so everyone knows, Baker Mayfield's playing with a torn labrum. So that is something to consider when you're talking about Odell Beckham Jr., the tight ends and pass-catching options for Cleveland. So Cleveland at Chargers. I think this is not going to be as high-scoring as we'd hope. I think, the running backs are fine. The RB1 and 2 for Cleveland, RB1 for San Diego. And the top 2 wide receivers in San Diego, the top 1 receiver for the Browns, but the quarterbacks aren't going to be as good as usual. The Browns are a very, very, very good defense, and Justin Herbert, as much as he is dominating, he's on the screen right now, he's still going to be a little bit lesser of a play this week than he usually is, and I'm staying away from Baker Mayfield. I'm still playing San Diego quarterback, but he's not my top option. 52 points. So this is one of the higher ones on the slate. Giants and Cowboys should be a ton of points. Look for the injury reports. Ezekiel Elliott and Amari Cooper both are injured. Giants have Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton both injured. So things might be shuffling around as far as the depth chart on this one, but you can play both quarterbacks. You can play both running backs, both top receivers. The second running back for the Cowboys is one of my favorite plays on the slate because of the price. And then for the New York Blue, the third wide receiver is interesting in this one because you got to see who it's going to be. But if it's going to be Kadarius Toney, he had a breakout game last week, and you might want to ride that hand. And the Cowboys tight ends have been really, really good. You can play either or, tight end 1 or 2. I'm always going to take the cheaper option and hope for the touchdown. 49ers at Cardinals. Trey Lance, another rookie starting quarterback. Cardinals defense could be a play this week. You can see a lot of things going on. I'm very nervous about what the 49ers offense is going to look like, and not in a nervous way as far as I'm sitting everybody, but just there's a lot of question marks. Elijah Mitchell, if he comes back, what happens with Trey Sermon? What happens with him? Do they split? Who's the guy? Trey Lance, what does he look like? Does he run all over the place? Does he throw for 300 yards? Does he throw for 100 yards? Like, there's a lot of question marks. Might shy away from that side of the ball just because the Cardinals are more of a sure thing. Kyler Murray is my number 1 quarterback of the week against the 49ers front. You could definitely pair him with any of his top 4 receiving options. But obviously Hopkins is the guy you want to own in this one. The 49ers are trotting out Josh Norman as their number 1 corner. Hopkins should have a huge day. That's one of my favorite stacks this week is Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. Everybody's getting involved there. Chase Edmonds, James Conner. I mean, pretty much any Cardinal you can play. The 49ers, I mean, Deebo Samuel, you have to play him. He's so freaking hot right now. But, yeah, I'm not crazy about that offense. I don't know what it's going to look like under Trey Lance. Hopefully it looks like a lot better things for George Kittle, the San Francisco tight end 1. Bills and Chiefs, the highest scoring game on the slate. Great Sunday night game. You're going to see a ton of points, pretty much play everybody in this one, minus the defenses. Colts and Ravens, the opposite. You could probably play both defenses, or at least play the Ravens defense in this one. I don't love the Colts options against the Ravens defense. Ravens are 7-point favorites in this one. That says a lot of things for the RB2 in Indianapolis. Nyheim Hines, look for him to have a bounce back week, and maybe Michael Pittman, the wide receiver 1. But I really don't love the Colts here. The Baltimore, the wide receiver 1, Marquise Brown, has been pretty solid. And you always love the value that you get with Lamar Jackson at QB1 and tight end 1, Mark Andrews, both solid plays. All right, well, those are the spreads. And now I want to talk about, I just want to talk about the streamers and the stacks that I'm playing, and I'll explain what the definitions of both of those are here in a second. You can see here, just a reminder, go to NFTDraft.io. You can get your promo packs, NFT Draft Pack, Captain Pack, and Lead Deck. League Deck, obviously, is a more pricey one. You guarantee to get all these cards, but I like the Captain Packs. Just grab 2 of those, and you should be set. We're going to be doing a card break here soon, and we're going to open up a couple Captain Packs and promo packs, and you guys are going to be able to purchase those, so that should be a lot of fun. So with my stacks this week, again, I'm attacking the games where there's going to be a lot of points. So number 1 stack this week is going to be Green Bay QB1, Green Bay wide receiver 1. To get Cincinnati, I think it's a get-right game for them, and those are my top 2. Number 2, not far behind, Arizona QB1, Arizona wide receiver 1. Those stacks right there, you can play both of those. You are going to have a monster lineup. So if you can find any way to play both of those stacks in your lineup, please at me and let me know how the results are, and slide me some of that money that you win. I'm just kidding. Another stack would be Minnesota QB1 with the wide receiver 1 or 2. You're only going to miss 1 or 2 points. So if you want to go with Justin Jefferson, just pay up that 1 extra point. It's 19 for Jefferson, 18 for Thielen, the Minnesota Vikings wide receiver 2. You're good either way. So if you want to save that 1 point, then go with it. Tampa Bay, I like the QB2 best in this one. But Tampa Bay, QB1, wide receiver 2. Carolina, QB1 and wide receiver 1 have been awesome. Sam Darnold somehow is the leading rusher as far as rushing touchdowns for quarterbacks this year. And I think he has just as many rushing touchdowns as the top running back. So he's just running the ball at a crazy rate that we never expected. So go ahead, and DJ Moore is having an absolute breakout season. So go get both those guys. Dallas, QB1, wide receiver 2. Same situation as Minnesota. Pay one less point. But just be careful here. Michael Gallup is already out. And now if Amari Cooper doesn't play, the second receiver will be Cedric Wilson, not CeeDee Lamb. So you're probably going to want to pay up and get the wide receiver 1 in Dallas just to be safe. And then watch what's going on Sunday if you want to pivot. All right, so stacks. Again, some terms you'll hear when you're doing your lineups are you going to put a guy out naked? And naked is just putting a player out there like a quarterback with no pairing. Okay, you're not pairing him with a tight end or receiver. You got your big stacks, which is, if you were to put, let's say you went to Cincinnati and you said, I'm going to play the tight end 1 or Dallas. Let's see Dallas. I'm going to play the tight end 1 or 2. I'm going to play the wide receiver 1 or 2. And I'm going to play Dak. So that's a three guys on the same team. So basically, you have half of the wide receiver options for Dak covered. So every time that Dak throws a touchdown, it's probably going to a good chance that it goes to one of those guys, and you're going to get double the points when it hits. Then you have your skinny stacks, which is just your QB wide receiver or QB tight end. I really like to do that with my tight ends because your tight end might have 3 catches, 20 yards, but he has that 1 touchdown. It's a nice way to get a little bonus when you have the quarterback. So Robert Tonyan is a good example. So if you went Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers, you go get Tonyan. It covers your basis. Rodgers throws 4 touchdowns. 2 of them go to Rodgers. 2 of them go to Adams. 1 of them goes to Tonyan. You're dancing. So with your streams, again, with your streaming options, these are guys that are going to be lesser likely to be played in other people's lineups because they're not people that are ranked in everyone's top 10. They are probably not your top options when you started the season or when you bought your cards. But at the end of the day, injuries happen. People aren't playing. Calvin Ridley's not playing this week. David Montgomery's out for 5 to 6 weeks. You got Teddy Bridgewater's going to be out this week. You got Jimmy Garoppolo's most likely going to be out this week. You're having to pivot to other options, and that's where you pick up some streamers. Also, your second quarterback, it's a nice way to give a little variation to your lineup and play a little contrarian. Quarterbacks. We talked about the Jacksonville Jaguars, and yes, they are a hot mess, but the Tennessee Titans defense has not been able to stop a nosebleed. Even whenever they got the Jets, we thought they would have a good week. They didn't. So you can play Trevor Lawrence against the Tennessee Titans. They're going to be playing from behind most of the game. He's got some rushing upside, and he should be a top 15 play this week. We talked about it already. Sam Darnold, Carolina QB1. Do it. Washington QB1 and Detroit QB1. Both those guys are putting up a lot of points. You don't have to pay a lot to play them. And they end up being good values at the end of the day. And then don't forget about the rookies. I know that we talked about how it's a little bit of a dangerous play. But playing Zach Wilson, the New York Green QB1, the Chicago Bears QB1, or the San Francisco QB1 could be an upside play where you could see them completely crap the bed and put up 7 points or 8 points like Justin Fields did last week. Or you can see them put up 30, 40 points because they have 100 yards rushing. So that's where those guys have the upside that someone like a Teddy Bridgewater just doesn't have. It's a safer pick, but you don't have the upside that you would with a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance or even a Zach Wilson. Your tight ends. So tight ends is such a difficult spot. And even last week, I got burned when I said, well, just play Travis Kelce so you don't have to worry about it. Of course, he had a bad week. Listen, I got that one wrong, but the process was right. Shout out to Mike Tagliere. Process over results. Listen, you're going to get it wrong sometimes, even when it was the right play. At the end of the day, you never sit Travis Kelce. If you have a Travis Kelce card, you play it. He's had what 2-3 bad games in the last 3 seasons. I'll take the L for last week, but I'm still going to play him this week if I have the opportunity. But if you don't have him, where do you go? If your tight end is not playing, where do you go? Buffalo tight end 1. Let's see if he gets 3 weeks in a row with touchdowns. He's been killing it. You got New York Blue. So New York Blue, with all the receiver injuries, you could see Evan Ingram have a good week. Then you got the New England tight end 2. So New England is playing against, New England has a bunch of injuries going on. They're going to need to get rid of the ball quickly. And they don't really have a lot of receiving options. Look for them to target the tight ends. And James White's no longer there. So you're going to see more downfield targets because Damian Harris is he's not going to get as much pass catching as James White was getting. Then you have the Atlanta TE1. I think this is it. I think this is the breakout game for Kyle Pitts. Look for it to happen against the Jets. Look for him to be split out, put on one-on-one, go to the outside of the field, especially if they get in the red zone, put him in one-on-one situations. Let him use his athletic ability to just beat guys one-on-one. Then you have the Indianapolis Colts tight end 1. So last week, Mohali Cox he was just playing big boy ball. It was just basketball. They put him in one-on-one situations, let him box the guy out and go up and high point the ball. And it worked. Similar to what Jimmy Graham used to do. He's a basketball player as well. Antonio Gates do the same thing. I'm not calling Mohali Cox those guys, but he is 6'8" with a 7-foot wingspan. These 5'9", 5'10" corners just can't compete with him in one-on-one situations in the red zone. And that's where you get, that's where you can make your money. And then the last one I'll talk about is Cincinnati tight end 1. CJ Uzomah broke out last week. And I don't expect it to happen all year, but he's playing the Packers this week. If Jair Alexander gets all of his attention on Jamar Chase, he's going to look for other options. You can see Uzomah, and they're throwing the ball 35 times a game. They're spreading it out. So Uzomah is someone, if he's going to get 4 or 5 targets, that's someone you want to get in your lineup, and he's a very cheap play. Last but not least, the defenses. Defense wins championships. And in the NFT format where you can play kickers and defenses or you just play defenses, you have a lot of different, options. And a lot of the winning tournament lineups have been because of defenses. So please pay attention. Minnesota. Minnesota is a defense you can play. They're playing against Detroit. Jared Goff leads the league in turnovers in the last 3 seasons. He's been better this year with turnovers. They've still been known to fumble the ball and throw interceptions when it comes down to it. And the offensive line for Detroit has been giving up a lot of pressure, a lot of sacks. Arizona. I really like Arizona this week. They get a rookie. Remember the memorable performance they had week 1? They got some great pass rushers. They got some playmakers on defense. Look for Arizona. The Patriots. The Patriots, I think, are a fantastic play against the Houston Texans this week. I think you can go out and get them. Bill Belichick is going to scheme it up, and he's going to go and put them to bed after he lost last week to Tommy. Carolina is on fire. Daniel Jeremiah was talking about next-gen stats and get off. And get off is basically the time it takes from a defensive lineman to get out of their stance and get across the line of scrimmage from when the ball is snapped, right? So when he says hike, how fast can that guy get from this side of the line to the other side of the line? So 2 of the top 10 out of the numbers were both on the Carolina Panthers, and that was Hassan Reddick and Brian Burns. So when you're looking at pass rush, you're looking at teams that can get after the quarterback or teams that have 2 or 3 guys that have the top get off. Las Vegas Raiders, the Carolina Panthers, and you got the Los Angeles Rams and the Denver Broncos. All good defenses. The stats line up with the numbers, and you should go after Carolina. Then you have the Las Vegas Raiders, who I just talked about. All good plays this week. My lock this week, just so you guys know, my lock is the Pittsburgh Steelers. You have to play the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Broncos this week. It's a lock situation. Tennessee running back is a lock. The combinations of Arizona or Green Bay quarterback and quarterback and receiver. And then my value every single week is going to be Cincinnati quarterback 1, Joe Burrow, 15 points. That's just easy. You have to take that because that's the cheapest you can play any quarterback, and you're getting literally 5 points less than you are for any of the big guys, which saves you money and allows you to get the big guys. So if you can't get, Kyler Murray and Aaron Rodgers in your lineup, do Kyler Murray and Joe Burrow, or do Aaron Rodgers and Joe Burrow in the same game. All right. Well, good luck this week, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you have a great night.